Welcome to Cheese in Depth. I'm Michael Landis, and today's webinar is sponsored by the Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin. With over 1,200 licensed cheesemakers and the only state that requires a license to make cheese. They are also the only place outside of Europe with a master cheesemakers program. Whereas today, I'm talking with Carr Valley Cheese Company, which has two master cheesemakers, Sid Cook and Bob Cohen. I'm joined by Elle Fearing and Lacy Duren, both national sales representatives with Carr Valley Cheese Company, and who I have conducted many cheese seminars with. So please welcome Elle and Lacy.
Hello. Hey. Hello. Okay, well, we're happy to be here. So I guess first we can do a little bit of introductions on ourselves and a little bit of history about where we fit in with Carr Valley. So I'll go first. My name is Elle. I grew up in Laval, Wisconsin, which is right near our original plant. And when I turned 14, my parents said I needed to get a job, and since I didn't have a driver's license, Carr Valley was the closest thing. But it was a pretty easy in. I have a lot of relatives that work there, so I don't even think I had to fill out an application, so it worked out really well. So I started working in the store there at 14, and then worked there all through high school, most of the way through college, and Sid said, you know, come back when you graduate. I might have something for you. And it turned out that he did. And I started as the national sales rep 2 years ago now. So
yeah, and I'm Lacy Duren. So I grew up about 2 miles down the road from Carr Valley, the same plant in Cazenovia, Wisconsin, on a dairy farm that supplies our milk to Carr Valley Cheese still. So I grew up on a dairy farm, and I started working for Carr Valley when I was 16 with Elle in the store together. And then a little bit in college, and then kind of the same thing. So it was like, hey, I could use another sales rep. So now they got the both of us.
Yeah, so it worked out pretty well. We're best friends. We went to high school and college together, and we're still doing work together now. So it worked out pretty well. Hopefully we don't get sick of each other soon, but so far so good. So we can kind of talk about Carr Valley a little bit before we get into the cheeses that we're trying today. So Carr Valley is a 4th generation master cheesemaker company. Sid Cook, his family's been making cheese for generations now. His family owned Irish Valley plant, which was also kind of in the southwestern part of Wisconsin. So he grew up in the house connected to the plant, so cheesemaking has always been part of his life. You know, there they were making, I think, a lot of cheddar and Colby, more traditional styles cheese. And then he got his cheesemaking license when he was 16 years old. So he's had his license for over 50 years now, which is pretty wild. So he bought the first plant for our company in the 80s, and since then we've kind of expanded, which we'll talk about. But Carr Valley as a company started in 1902, and you know, today we're going to be known for making really high quality artisanal cheddars and American original cheeses with mixed milk, sheep milk, goat milk. So we do kind of a lot of stuff. You know, we do all those traditional varieties, but we're definitely really known for stepping outside of that box and inventing, you know, new flavors and just really unique cheeses that no one has tried before. I know a lot of people call Sid the mad scientist. So
I've heard the Jimi Hendrix of cheese.
Yeah, I love that one. That's a good one.
My favorite.
Yeah. You know, that's one thing that we've noticed. I mean, along with us being longtime employees at Carr Valley, there's a lot of people that have worked there for, you know, since they first had a job. I mean, Bob Koenig, the other master cheesemaker that works for Carr Valley, he's been working there since he was really young. His grandma worked in the store. So I think he got a job there maybe when he was 13 or 14. It was pretty young, but he's still at the company, which is really awesome. We have a lot of people like that, you know, started out young there, and, you know, I don't know, it's a hard company to leave. We love it. So people definitely stick around, and it's very much a family organization, which is awesome. So, so this is our sales team. So you obviously know me and Lacey now. And then in the middle is our national sales manager, Dave. So Dave has been working at Carr Valley, I think, for 5 or 6 years now in that position. That sounds about right.
Yeah, I think so.
So the three of us kind of share the country together. We kind of work as a team for a long time. Carr Valley just had the one sales rep. And then as we started to grow, Sid added on to that team. So now there's 3 of us. But as at this time, we kind of cover everything together, which is great. You know, we like to go to all the big food shows together. Obviously not this year, unfortunately, but hopefully January, Fancy Food will be there. And hopefully we never have to deal with the pandemic stuff again.
Yeah,
but yeah, so the 3 of us kind of do everything together. Our contact information is there, so feel free to reach out to any of us if you have any concerns. So yeah.
So moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about the farms that we get all of our milk sourced from. So as I said, I grew up on one of the dairy farms that provides our milk. So there's about 30 farms that provide their milk that our trucks go around and pick up daily. So in the bottom right corner, you'll see the cows that I have on my family farm. So our farm is a 4th generation dairy farm, and my brother took it over when he was in his early 20s. So my dad is no longer helping on the farm. So we milk 40 Guernsey, Jersey, and Red Holsteins at our farm. And we have in their pasture daily on our 300-acre farm. And the reason that these cows are, that we go for these breeds of cows is because of the high butter fat content that comes with that. So it yields higher quality cheese and a little bit more cheese. So our farm, like I said, is located just 2 miles away from our factory. And so the motto at our farm is quality over quantity, which is what pretty much every dairy farm that provides milk to Carr Valley kind of goes by. So yeah, all 30 dairy farms are all really small, and all the cows are really happy.
Yeah,
happier than California cows.
I believe, yeah, definitely, yeah. And I think that we're getting milk. These 30 dairy farms, I think, are about 25-mile radius around our Laval plant, which is where the main trucks that pick up milk are coming from. And that's the plant that we make cheese 6 days a week at. We still pick up milk 7 days a week, obviously. And then our other plants are making close to 6 days a week as well. Right. So, yeah. And
then we have 2 goat farms that provide milk to Carr Valley, and our biggest one is in Cazenovia, just like half a mile down the road from the Laval plant. And they've been producing milk about 3 years now, and they milk about 100 Alpine and Nubian dairy goats. So it's kind of like a newer niche kind of market, but it's been going well. And I mean, they produce most of our goat milk and butter. So yeah, and then we also have 1 sheep farm up in northern Wisconsin. It's a really small production, and they only produce milk seasonally. So most of our sheep milk is produced in the summer. Yeah, so right now is the season where we're making all of that cheese and our sheep butter, which we'll talk about our butters a little bit later, but that's a very seasonal product for us, and that typically sells out easily by November and December every year. So it's really good stuff if you haven't had it. So, yeah. Yeah, so we'll talk briefly, about our master cheesemakers. So, as Michael mentioned, we have Sid and Bob. So Sid is the owner as well. Like I said, he's had his cheesemaking license for over 50 years now. So when you go to be a master cheesemaker, you have to have your cheesemaking license for 10 and be making cheese for 10 consecutive years before you can apply for the program. And then each program you get certified in a specific variety of cheese. So Sid is certified in Fontina, Cheddar, Grand Canaria, and Maube, which the last 2 are going to be 2 of our American originals. Grand Canaria is a mixed milk variety, and then our Maube is half sheep, half goat's milk with a layer of grapevine ash. Anytime I talk to Sid, I think in one of his recent interviews, he said that is one of the cheeses that he's most proud of because it's just kind of a really funny thing to him, kind of a joke on Morbier, which is kind of fun. And then Bob, so he's certified in Fontina and Gouda. He's mostly based out of our Mauston plant. He also is in charge of a lot of the QA stuff that goes on in our company. But as I said, he started working at our Laval plant when he was a teenager, and he, I believe, is the youngest
master cheesemaker still. I know he was for quite a while, and I think he has the others beat by quite a few years. So I'm assuming he still is. But yeah, we're really excited. At one point, we did have another master cheesemaker, but he retired, Tom Jenny. But yeah, it's great having these two on board. And I know we have a couple other cheesemakers that are probably pretty close to that 10-year mark.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we have a few coming down the line that'll start that program as well.
And I always joke about Bob. He kind of does it all. He does our IT, our QA,
Yeah.
our cheese making. He just does
Jack of all trades.
Yeah.
He's a great person to have in the company.
Right.
So.
Okay. So moving on, we're going to talk about our locations now. So we have 4 factories and then 1 processing cold storage facility. And then we have 8 retail stores, including 3 factory stores. So 3 of them you can kind of go and like see how the cheese making's done. So our first retail location that's also a factory store is Laval. So that's the one Ellie and I grew up working at and near. So that's about an hour northwest of Madison. And the nice thing about that is we are all salt batted, so we make a lot of cheddars, our Colbys, our Jacks, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, our bread cheese, which is a huge item for us, that's made there as well before being sent to be baked in our Fenimore plant. So pretty cool. It's definitely our best tourist destination. We get a lot of people from the Dells that come up and used to catch us giving the tours by the windows. So definitely check it out and get some fresh cheese curds if you're ever up in that area for some reason. So yeah, and then we have our Mauston plant. So this one was the second added on to the list of locations. Up here, we're making all brine salted cheeses. So our Fontina, our Gouda, a lot of our American originals, all of the Maubé, Grand Canary, all those products are made up there. We also have a retail store attached to this one. This is a great plant. We used to have a lab in there as well, which has been moved, but it's a pretty large plant. They do a lot of different steps there before it's being shipped off to our warehouse. So, yeah.
Next, we're going to talk about our Linden plant. So this is our blue cheese factory. So all the cheese that you're tasting today was made in this plant. So all of them are, small vats, and then all the cheese is hooped there, pierced there, and then sent off to our cold storage facility where it's aged.
Yeah. And the Linden plant is by far, and we tell everybody at our company this, probably our favorite plant, even though we grew up in the Laval plant, but Linden is awesome. So there's no store attached to this one, but when we started working for Carr Valley in the sales position, we did go around and try it all, had to make cheese at each plant and kind of tour around and learn about the process. And this one is great. Yeah. I love blue cheese. I love the process. Super fun.
You're going to end up completely soaked head from toe to
Yeah. It's definitely a very involved job, very hands-on, but I think I definitely gained some muscle after that day.
It was super fun. Yes. They told me I was gifted there.
Yeah. That means something. Yeah. And then our final plant is our Fenimore location. So this is another retail location, but we do have a plant in the back, and we're not actually producing any cheese there, but this is where we bake our bread cheese, and this is also where we package our butters in foil packaging and cups, and we also do our blue cheese crumbles there. So it's kind of a variety of processes that we do there at the final steps before it goes to our warehouse.
And the mouse in front, his name is Igor. So if you ever drive past, he's a very loved symbol in Fenimore.
Yes, I would say so. Yeah.
Last, we're going to talk about the Portage cold storage facility. So that's in Portage, Wisconsin. So that's where we do all of our smoking of our cheeses, our aging, our waxing, our cut and wrap, as well as our crumbling of our blue cheeses. So there's a lot going on there. It's a crazy facility. So.
Yeah, it's definitely. There's a lot that goes into the final steps of preparing our cheese before it gets out the door, especially whether it's on our website or, for our customers all over the country. So pretty cool. So awards we'll talk about briefly too. So we are one of the top award-winning cheese companies in the world. We're over 800 national and international awards for our cheese. I know Sid probably has an exact count. We should have checked with him before we started this, because he usually has it down to the number.
I'm thinking it's 830 now.
Yeah, we're close to mid 800s. But we have some of the top awards at the World Championship Cheese Contest, World Cheese Awards, the American Cheese Society, U.S. Championship Cheese Contest. We also did International Cheese Awards last year for the first time, which was awesome. We swept the whole blue cheese category there, so that's great, obviously, since we're trying the blues today too. So but yeah, so some of the example awards that we kind of listed, our Cave Age Marissa has won several Best of Class and Super Gold awards, and same with the Grand Canaria, which, as we mentioned, Sid is certified in that variety. So pretty cool. We have awards scattered out throughout all of our stores. So some of them might be older when you go into certain stores, but it's kind of cool to go through and look just the past in general. So very awesome. Yeah.
Next, we're going to go on to talk about our cow milk cheeses. So like we said, we do a lot of the traditionals. You think of the Gouda, Fontina, Cheddars, which we're really known for. And then our American Originals, which is really exciting. So our Mostener, Cream of Casa, things like that. So a lot of stuff that you think of Carr Valley is the American Originals, but we also do the traditionals very well too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as we said, like a lot of people coming into our retail stores love the fresh curd. So it's really fun having people come in, trying that curd that came out of the vat an hour ago, and then trying our medium cheddar, which is 6 months old, and then, you know, some of our aged cheddars that get up to 12 years old. It's pretty interesting to watch, especially people who aren't familiar or from the Midwest and really don't know what a cheese curd is to start. It's a very interesting process watching the facial expressions that are given throughout that process.
It's really rare when you see somebody who doesn't like one, but wants one, they're like, oh, it's like chewing on rubber bands.
Yeah, it's just not quite right, but it's a very cool thing to watch and be present for. But yeah, we make a lot of great cow's milk cheeses. So then we also do goat milk cheeses, as we said. Most of these, you know, are going to be made up in our plant in Boston, besides our cheddars, like the Snow White goat cheddar piece that's pictured there, and our black goat truffle are actually both made in Laval. But other than that, pretty much all of them are made up in Boston. So these are great. We have a lot of really popular cheeses with the just goat milk. Snow White goat cheddar won, I believe, a best of class at ACS in 2008. The Cocoa Cardona, sweet vanilla Cardona, those are going to be, you know, great dessert style cheeses. So we kind of have something for everybody. We have some Gouda style cheeses, some soft goat milk cheeses. Our Baraboo Blue, which is a lot of people's favorites, is a blue cheese, a cheddar with blue cheese crumbles added to it. So very unique, pretty cool. Named after Baraboo, Wisconsin. And then we also do a Billy Blue, which is a goat milk blue. So we're just doing the cow's milk today, but we do have several other blue cheeses, specifically with goat milk and sheep milk. We do smoked blues too.
Next, we're going to talk about our mixed milk. So our mixed milk is something that we're really proud of because Sid was the first in the country to make a mixed milk cheese. That was our Menage. You can see featured on there. So that has cow, sheep, and goat's milk in it. It's aged for about 8 months to a year, depending. It has a nice green wax in it, and I love this one because it's really creamy, but you still get those calcium crystals in it. And then you can kind of see on here the line of other mixed milk cheeses that we have too. Down at the bottom is our or I guess the top now is the Mobe. So that's 1/2 sheep milk with a grapevine ash line in the middle, and the other half is goat milk. So it's another one of our popular mixed milk cheeses that I love too.
Yeah. And another thing just to mention, as you've been seeing with the pieces of cheese that we're showing throughout these slides, like you'll notice that they're all different colors. So you know, with having 8 retail stores, we do know a lot about retail, and so we have color coded our labels depending on the milk type, so it makes it really easy for customers coming in. If they're looking for something specific, we can say, you know, goat milk is all in blue labels, and they are able to go over to that section specifically and find their cheese. So I think our labels are great, and they really stand out on the shelf too. So yeah, and then we'll talk a little bit about sheep milk. As Lacey said, we have one sheep milk farm up in northern Wisconsin. You know, all of our sheep milk cheeses are very popular, as I've mentioned, like our Cave Age Marissa, even just our regular Marissa are some very well-known cheeses in our line. So Marissa is a longtime favorite of mine, but that one's named after Sid's daughter, Marissa. So we do a bunch of different, you know, alterations to that one. We have a Cave Age version, which is very award-winning. We have an aged version. We also do a smoked Marissa, which is great. We also do some wine-soaked sheep milk cheeses. The Booze and You is a new one for us that came out last year, soaked in Wollersheim wine from Sauk City. Stock City. Yeah. So that's a great one. So we do kind of like the goat milk, you know, we do a really wide variety. So even for people that maybe are a little scared about trying different milks, I would totally suggest sheep milk, and the Marissa is awesome.
We also started doing our own butter. So we do a cow's milk butter, a sheep milk butter, a goat's milk butter, as well as a mixed milk butter named Menage butter. So we just started making that in Boston. So that's really exciting. We have 8-ounce cups as well as 4-ounce foil. So it's also a newer thing for us.
Yeah, I think they started originally kind of doing that because with making mixed milk cheese, we weren't really able to get rid of the whey coming out of a mixed milk vat. I mean, most people won't want to take that. So instead of wasting it, you know, we thought that this would be a great use for it. And who doesn't love butter? And also mixed milk butter is always amazing. So I have several things in my fridge right now. I know I've been putting in on pieces of bread, so it's good stuff.
Butter and everything, just like when I cook asparagus.
It's so good. Yeah, so definitely check those out. We do have 2 butter makers officially now, Bob, I think, and then also another cheese maker at our Boston plant, Justin. Yeah. So now we'll get a little bit more into the blue cheeses. So as we said, we have our plant in Linden, the Glacier Point facility in Linden, Wisconsin. It's a very small town. I don't know if there might be a gas station there. That's probably it.
Yeah,
pretty small. But like we said, this is our favorite plant. So there's I think 3 or 4 cheesemakers there total most days, you know, producing all of these really high quality blue cheeses. But they have a ton of expertise in this field, and we love every time we go down there. We always learn something new. We always you know, they're very scientific, and they tell us that process as well, which is awesome. But so some of our most popular varieties are the ones that you're going to be trying today. The Penta cream is probably the best seller out of all of them, our personal favorite as well. But we also, the Wildfire blue would probably be the second most popular. We do, as I said, smoked blues, Gorgonzola, our Billy Blue, which is goat milk, and our Baba Blue, which is sheep milk. They all are coming in the foil wrapped, as you saw if you purchased them on our website. We also do blue cheese crumbles, which are great, which would be packaged at our Fenimore plant. So, and now we're going to get a little bit more into the blue cheeses specifically that you are going to be trying today. And we can kind of talk through them, I believe, while we're going to be trying them. But the first one we're going to kind of be working with is the Gorgonzola. I don't know what everyone is pairing with, but we chose to pair ours with some Milwaukee IPAs. So this is, you know, one that pretty much any IPA is going to go really well with a blue cheese. So that's what we chose to pair. So hopefully, otherwise I know a lot of times port wine goes really well.
I like to do like a chocolate stout too.
Yeah. So a lot of different things. So hopefully you have something good by you. But yeah, so the Gorgonzola, all made with fresh cow's milk. This one is going to have kind of a soft, salty flavor. You'll get some truffle mushroom notes in it, but overall it's very creamy. This one is typically aged for close to 5 months, but you'll notice that it's very, very sweet. We were actually doing a little bit of research. We invested in some cheese encyclopedias, and it was saying how, you know, which I didn't realize this, that 90% of the Gorgonzola produced is the Dolce Gorgonzola, which is the kind of the sweeter, creamier style of Gorgonzola, where 10% is the picante, savory side of it. So ours is definitely more dolce, but we love this one, and we might as well cut off some too.
You know, one of the things that when we talk about Gorgonzola, we have to talk about the mildness that we have here. You know, the creaminess, as you were saying, that the Dolce is sweet, the picante is sharp, there's more of that. In your version, it's kind of like a little bit of both worlds, because it's not all cream, but it's also at the same point not dry and tangy like you would find in a picante. So this really has a nice niche where it fits in really well to just about anybody that's looking for a blue cheese that, in all honesty, is a little milder. You know, this is not, you know, a real big, bold in your face type of blue. So when I was thinking about what I was going to pair with it, you know, one of the first things that I think I default to, and you know, I know it's an easy default, but I love honey with it, and I think that this Gorgonzola with the tanginess that you have is really just really done well. And I use the Savannah bee company. They have a really rich honey that I love, and then with that, you know, you can really build up on that sweetness. And so what I do is use the Effie's rye cakes. They're homemade rye cakes, are a little bit of sweetness to them, and then adding in with the blue. So you get all those nice flavors. And you guys went with an IPA, and you know, I have the nice richness here in here. So I wanted to go with kind of like a golden ale, and so I sourced out the Big Wave from Kona Brewing in Hawaii, and this is their golden ale, and it's got a lot of light maltiness to it, and that maltiness actually acts like a little bit of a cracker, but there isn't any hops like in yours where, you know, that actually adds to it, but this is just a little creamier.
Okay.
Kona has a really good IPA that I like. That's really fruity. Highland, I think it's called. Maybe. Am I thinking about the wrong beer?
Plus, you guys are ahead of me, you know, drinking wise.
Yeah.
I'll try to catch up.
Ahead of time.
We're Wisconsin girls. What can we say?
Yeah, it's a sunny day in Milwaukee. I mean,
beer and cheese.
Yeah.
I think that's a great choice. I have an IPA that I was going to start off with, but earlier or yesterday when I was working on the pairings, this cheese has got some saltiness, and that saltiness is really well balanced, but it's there. And I think a lot of people say about blues is that they are naturally salty, that's a characteristic of them. But you know, you think about the saltiness that you get from peanuts and things like that with a beer, and that's kind of why I went with the golden, because you really get that feedback. You get some sweetness, and all of a sudden you get some tang, sweet and tang, so it kind of goes back and forth.
Yeah.
I love this cheese, and I think it's really cool the way that you and Sid and them have the diversity of the styles of blue. Because I can't tell you how many times I've said this, is that I get students that are professionals in the industry, and they're like, I tried blue and I just don't like it. And it's like, that's like going into the produce department, taking a bite of a vegetable and saying, I don't like vegetables, you know, because they're all so different. These four are radically different. You know, they're blue, but they're going to be different. So that's my take on that. So.
Definitely. No, I totally agree, because even when we're traveling for food shows, we often, like we said, our favorite is the Penta cream, but we often are showing these blue cheeses, and people come by and they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, please, you gotta try this.
Just try a little.
We're not lying to you. It's really actually good. And I know, you know, even like, well, I guess these are cheesemakers' kids, but I know like some of the cheesemakers at Linden, you know, their kids are eating blue cheese. And I mean, that says something if your kid is eating blue cheese. So it's such, you know, rich, creamy, very mild. The Gorgonzola is very mild. You know, just great products for everybody, even if you're a little skeptical on the mold, but it's good.
I'm always impressed when I run into like a 10-year-old who's like into blue. I'm like, you can hang out with me.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do this.
We're going to do some cheese trays.
Yeah, this is great. So yeah, we love this one. I too like to pair, you know, blue cheeses with honey is awesome. But these specifically, all of these are going to crumble and melt really well, like as we'll talk as we kind of move through them. I mean, there's so many different applications you can do with blue cheese that, like, I guess I personally, before getting into this business, I wouldn't have really thought of, like dessert applications and things like that. But even just on a board with, you know, some honey, it's amazing. So yeah, I'm going to have that one too right now. I haven't had that one in a while.
So the next one we're going to go on to is the Glacier Blue is going to be the second one. So that one is the one that came in the silver foil. So That's just a traditional blue cheese made with fresh cow's milk, as all of our cheeses are made. So, yeah, it's made in small batches, as always.
Yeah, so, and I guess we could have mentioned this earlier a little bit more too. So all of our plants are all very handmade, traditional style of cheese making. All of them are in small open vats. And so there's a lot of love that goes into every piece of cheese that's made at Carr Valley, which is really cool.
Every single wheel is hand flipped.
Yeah, so
times.
it's a very delicate process making blue cheese, and seeing it, you know, up front, you really know, and even tasting it, you know, it gives you a lot of appreciation.
It's so funny because all the cheesemakers are like pretty short there too, and so like there's like a bottom shelf that they're standing on so they can reach the top shelf.
So it's a job for anybody really. But yeah, so our Glacier Blue is a very traditional blue cheese. This one is going to be aged for a minimum of 120 days, so it's going to be a little bit. It's aged less than the Gorgonzola. This one I think is very, again, pretty mild, but very, you know, earthy and a little bit more crumbly than I think the Gorgonzola comes off as. But again, very, very much a blue cheese that anyone could enjoy. This one has also won quite a few awards, as you saw a little bit on the slideshow. So we have a gold at the World Cheese Awards, and then a couple of second place and third place medals as well for this one. But again, it's just a really, you know, super subtle, this one's going to be a little bit more savory, again, pretty salty flavors with this one. So yeah, I do love this one a lot.
This is Blue is one of my favorite categories. As an international judge, a spring judge, I get to luckily pick my category, and blue is the category that I pick. And I think I've always been fascinated by the diversity of the blues, but also of the traditional flavors of just a blue cheese, you know, because we talk about lumping all of these into blues, and we know that's not true, you know, because they have different flavor characteristics and names through there. But this particular blue has just, Sid's got such a nice balance on this. This is so beautiful and creamy. You know, the flavor of the bluing, which comes out as a really nice mushroom. And so when I was thinking about what I was going to do with this is I have some Rustic Bakery, their rosemary and olive oil. And rosemary and olive oil with this is just phenomenal. Just being able to bring up those flavors. But I wanted something that would really kind of kick it up a notch. And so I went with the Taste Elevated. I think we've done this before together. Booze Time Cherries. And, you know, you get these wonderful cherries, which also works really well in an old fashioned. So you kind of have a little bit of a
speaking our language,
a little bit of spiciness. But this is such a nice richness. And that's one of the things, is that this doesn't go over so big that it overpowers. It actually has enough power to be able to stay with this and keep a balance of all the flavors together. And I just really love those together. For beer wise, I went with Oskar Blues. They do a Goodnight, which is a Imperial red ale. So it's got a tremendous amount of maltiness. You can see how beautiful this red ale is here. And it brings out a lot of maltiness when they put them together. You get that sweet, sour tang out of there. And then when they come together, you lose the big tang, and the butter comes out, and you really get the maltiness here. So it's really a fun little pairing.
Yeah. Yeah, when you said mushroom, I was just thinking about when we were cutting these cheeses up before. I don't know if there's any Wisconsin people watching, but as soon as we cut into the Glacier Blue, we actually both were like, wow, it smells like morel mushrooms. So it was kind of a moment for us of, that's a very Wisconsin, seasonal popular mushroom in this area. So morel season is over now, but that gave us a brief moment of remembering that. So.
I wonder if we could stuff morels with this blue cheese.
Probably would taste really good. It'd probably be pretty good. So yeah, kind of funny, but yeah, we love this one. I mean, just all over a great blue cheese. And our smoked Glacier Blue is also really, really nice.
That one got second place at the World Cheese Awards, or not World Cheese, International Cheese Awards.
The smoked blue, yeah.
Or no, second. Wildfire got third.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, so we do love this one.
Yeah, so next we're gonna move on to the Penta cream, which, as we mentioned multiple times, is our favorite. We love to talk about it. It's so good.
Yeah.
So this one is blue cheese that we add 5 extra milk cans of vat. Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Milk cans of cream.
To the vat.
Yes.
Thank you.
Milk cans worth of cream.
And the beer's getting to me already.
Yeah.
So it's really buttery, super creamy and mild. I always call it the gateway blue. It's a really good snacking cheese, and it's a good one for people who aren't quite sure of blues yet. They can try this one and maybe put a little honey on it, and that'll ease them into it. I like to put it with dark chocolate, put it on toast with honey. Sid does that for breakfast a lot. He's a really slight man, so I don't know how he keeps it all off. He's just a busybody, I guess, so that works off all the cheese.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used it on a pizza yesterday with peaches and burrata and prosciutto. It was super good. But yeah, I like to pair this one with chocolate and coffee stouts a lot.
Yeah, and actually this one I did a Discover Wisconsin special with a restaurant in Viroqua. And we were featuring the Penta Cream Blue, and he did a couple different dishes with it. I believe one was a pizza, but then he also did a lemon blackberry cheesecake with the Penta Cream in the cheesecake, and it was phenomenal. It was the perfect amount. I mean, this one's already going to be so creamy. As soon as you try it, the cream will just kind of hit you in the face a little bit. But there was just a nice balance of savory notes in a very rich dessert anyways, and then the lemon, it was amazing. So this one, so many great uses for it. I love this one a lot.
I think it being in a gold foil is appropriate because that is just
yes,
A1 cheese.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so I got Best U.S. Cheese at the International Cheese Awards in 2019, and then I got second place at the 2020 World Cheese Championship contest, and then second place at the 2019 U.S. Championship Cheese contest. So
yeah. So this is definitely, nationally probably one of the most well-known blue cheeses in our line, I would say. Yeah, and definitely a long-time favorite to most people. So it's just so creamy and salty and nice.
Oh, you know how I had it recently? We sprinkled sugar on top of it and took a blowtorch and did the creme brulee thing to the top of it and crystallized it. It was so good. It was like a dessert.
You did that at home?
Well, Blake did it.
Okay, I was gonna say, I'm like, that is quite the production.
I wouldn't do it myself.
Yeah,
I made somebody else do it. I had the idea. Though.
Yeah. So yeah, this one, we are just being, super. We're just still drinking our IPAs here, but we have used this one in several different pairings. I know I've paired it with port wine. It's actually great. I mean, as we said, with all the cream, it kind of does give off kind of a dessert vibe a little bit. So it's great with a dessert wine, iced wine. It's great with porters. Really a lot of different applications for this one. But personally, I just enjoy having it alone or with some honey on top. That's my favorite application for this one.
And deep down, if you like it enough, it'll go with anything.
It'll go with anything, yeah. So it's great melted on steaks or whatever, really. So.
Well, I was fortunate to be in England when you won the best cheese for the USA in England, and you got your trophy. I picked that up for you, and so I was not on that judging committee, and so that was one of the things where I'm glad it wasn't, so somebody didn't say the ambassador of North American cheeses was influencing it. But I have to say that you had some very serious competition during that, and you guys did extremely well with it. And I did a video recently on blues, the world's best blues, which I consider you to be there because we have, you know, David's Rogue River Blue, Bailey Hazen, you know, took some awards, and then you were Best USA internationally. So, you know, the top 3 blues in the world, you know, this comes in there. And I think that in your advertising, you say something about that it's got some extra cream in it. Mm-hmm. And it should say substantially cream, because this is, you know, it's so creamy and rich. It's just crazy, you know, the amount of butter that's on here. And, you know, I think that if somebody was really saying that I just can't do blues, I think that anyone would be able to do this blue. It's just got so much of the cream. You know, that the cream is really number one. The butter falls in there. There's a nice mushroom, and then there's a little bit of saltiness to balance it out. So when I was, I've paired this up several times and for the show and that. So this was really easy. I didn't even have to do much for this. This is Volpi charcuteries. Then this is the prosciutto. You know, a nice sweet ham with this. You know, that's all you have to do is roll it up a little bit, and this is the most decadent treat in the world.
It sounds amazing. We weren't prepared. You know, we're so used to eating the cheese just like as is. You know, this is part of my daily diet, but we should have gotten some of that. That looks amazing. Mm-hmm. So.
It was funny that, you know, Andy yesterday was talking about his Pleasant Ridge Reserve, and he's like, yeah, I put it on, you know, eggs. I put it on this. I put it on that. And, you know, it's about $25 a pound. So that is that's the most expensive part. You know, it's a little bit of shaving of cheese on there. But like you guys do, you have access to a lot of cheeses where a lot of us don't. And so spending our money correctly, getting the right cheese is very important to us. So another thing is the pairing on this. And I seem to have noticed that I have a theme, because this is Highland Brewing's Gaelic Ale. And again, I had the golden ale, and then I had the red ale, and now I have the Gaelic ale, which you can see has got so much maltiness in it. This is just crazy. But the hops in this really are in there just enough to bring out a little bit more of the mushroomy flavor. In other words, these are more noble, where they have an earthiness to them. And so that the earthy mushroom is really hiding in the background of this cheese. And it's not like, you know, like on the other two, you really could taste the mushroom, where here it's hiding back there, and it's beautiful to be able to do that. But this brings that out, that earthiness out, and it matches up, and you get a little bit of biscuit, and then you add the prosciutto on there. And, you know, I think that this is just crazy decadent dinner. You know, I mean, as a matter of fact, when we're done, this is my dinner.
Honestly, it's probably mine too.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we do this. Yeah, I mean, all around, our blue cheeses are wonderful. And, you know, anytime, you know, I'm talking to anyone that really, you know, from out of state, friends or family, and they wanted some suggestions for cheese, you know, from Carr Valley specifically or other places, I'm like, you know, try their blue. Whatever it is, it's probably really good. And so, you know, especially ours, but even other, you know, there's so many wonderful blues.
I was pressuring my uncle Jug into trying the Penta cream. I was like, put some honey on it, because he was really afraid of the mold. He's like, oh, It's really good.
Yeah, and now he's just a big blue fan.
And now he's a blue guy.
Yeah, that's how you do it. So,
all right, moving on, we're gonna go on to the Wildfire. So that's the one in the red foil. So this is Sid's twist on a traditional blue. So it's the same as our regular blue that came in the silver foil, but it has Italian pepperoncinis in it. So it's you taste the cheese first, and then you get the heat on the end, which is really nice. So then again, this is aged for about 4 months. So it's really great. And then we got, so it goes great on pizzas and burgers and steaks, obviously, anything, spicy blue is great. I like to put it with honey a lot because you get that sweet and spicy flavor. It goes well with roasted tomatoes, peppers, olives, salami, things like that. And it pairs really well with American Pale Ale.
Yeah, we saw, I know Chardonnay is another one. If you're a wine drinker, Chardonnay goes really well with this one too. Yeah. No one's really doing a spicy blue. Yeah. So that's why, again, it's just like one, step further on the scale of cheeses throughout the world and in the US, and then also just Wisconsin specifically. Sid just took that one step farther to make it really stand out. And we love this one. I mean, it's going to be really, pretty calm up front, but when it gets to the back of your mouth and when you start to swallow, you're just going to get a really slight hint of heat. Yeah.
I always joke about how our Wisconsin cheese company, so our heat is never too over the top.
Yes, very mild heat. It's a Wisconsin heat, but it's really nice. And, this one has a beautiful color to it as well. I love this one because it has that, creamy white look, but then, you have the mold growing in it, and then you have the red and yellow from the pepper. And so it's just really kind of a really beautiful cheese. Mm-hmm. I love this one. Yeah. I'm a fan. So yeah, and this one was one of the cheeses that won the award at the International Cheese Award. This one was the third place cheese that won the blue cheese category for the U.S. So we were pretty stoked about that entire competition in general, being the first time we had entered it, but just that our blues did that well.
My first show was that week because I started last June now. It's been about a year now that I've been working for Carr Valley in this role, but I had my very first show alone, and I was showing 2 blues, and I was like, these are big deal.
Yeah, these are big deal cheeses, but they're really good. So, yeah, lots of great. I know a lot of people love this one, just crumbled on a pizza with, actually this one with Mike's Hot Honey is, actually all of them with Mike's Hot Honey is really good. But the Wildfire, I know at shows, we often would pair that up with Mike's Hot Honey, and it, just adds a little bit extra spiciness to it, but it was really, really good. So I personally, again, love this one. So. But this is the newest on our list of blues. This is the newest blue cheese that was added to our line probably like 6 years ago now. It's been on our list for quite a while, but it is the newest out of the blues that we have.
And we just started offering crumbles now. That you can
yeah. So we do blue cheese crumbles too with this one. Yeah.
Well, there was a moment where I was really crowning the Penta Blue as being my favorite. And then I got a chance to try the Wildfire. The thing is that when you take your first bite from it, you don't really notice the heat. That little bugger sneaks right up on you, doesn't it? I mean, it all like of a sudden it went from 0 to, 20, 40, 90, 1,000. And but it's not like a ghost pepper or anything like that. I had Pine River with some ghost peppers, and I think I still taste that. But what I wanted to do with this is, because you have that beautiful heat to it, and you have the creaminess and the flavor. I would not say that you buy this because it's blue. You buy it because it's the Wildfire. And that's, you really, as much as I would like to say I can taste the bluing in here or the mushroom, I really can't. It's very far in the background. I think it adds some nice structure to it, especially when you start. But then the Wildfire comes in and really kind of brings that heat. So what I thought was that I wanted some fruit. I wanted some sweetness to really take this down. And I got Bonnie's Jams. And this is really just crazy good stuff. And this is black and blue. This is blackberries and blueberries. And they are so rich, sweet, and acidic. So you have that combination. You have that sweetness that's in the fruit, you have the acidicness that's in the fruit, and then you play it with the spiciness of the wildfire.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, yeah, we weren't prepared. That was great. That sounds great. I know, like, with a lot of our cheeses, like, we do, you know, pepper jack and a lot of different cheeses with other additives in it, like our cranberry chipotle cheddar and things like that. And Sid's biggest thing is just making sure that it's not going to, you know, first and foremost, the cheese is important. So, you know, we don't want any of these additives to be changing the flavor completely. You know, we don't want to do something that's so hot that, like, your palate's burned out and you can't taste the cheese, you know. So, you know, the peppers are just a nice add at the end, or like with our cranberry chipotle, you know, you get the sweetness, then you get a little smoky heat. So it's all very balanced, which we love.
And that's the art that, you know, Sid has, is being able to bring in a balance. Is, again, there's a lot of cheeses out there that have some flavors to them, but it is unbalanced, where this has got a great balance to it. So my original thought is that I wanted to stay with a little bit of sweetness. You know, with these, you run a lot of sweeter wines. Well, I went with a cider. So Gypsy Circus cider out of Tennessee. I didn't want something that was going to be, you know, sugared or anything like that. I wanted real flavors, but this needs, you know, something to work with it. And so I picked up the vaudeville, and this is a tart cherry version, and the cherry in there, and again, like using the blackberries, blueberries in there with that, really interacts and helps bring out more of the buttery flavors, tones down a little bit of the heat, but brings the flavor of the peppers out, which is really nice. And I've never been a ghost pepper or a hot pepper fan on any of those things. And I think that there are limits to where you take a cheese and you exceed its, you know, enjoyment. And this is right in everybody's zone. Even if you're somebody that loves ghost peppers and eats them, you're still going to get enough heat that it makes it well worth the while. And it's a beautiful flavored cheese. I would have a little trouble right now trying to decide that one of these would be my favorite today. I think that all of them bring such a uniqueness. And I think that's important for people to know, that when you're working with these, building a cheese board. Now, I remember, what was that saying? Something old, something new, something blue, you know, and there, and you'd have all these different things. I think it would be really fun to have a cheese board with 3 or 4 blues to demonstrate the diversity and beauty of these cheeses as they are, instead of just having, you know, different cheeses on here. It gives you really a chance to try different flavor characteristics. This is a beautiful board, and I'm going to have a magnificent dinner tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I know. I'm pretty full right now.
Yeah.
I think I'll probably come back for seconds in a little bit. But yeah, they're wonderful, and we are big blue cheese fans over here. But there's so many fun things you can do with it. And I think a lot of people just really don't think about things besides, like, oh, blue cheese crumbles on a steak. But there's so many other things you could be doing with the blue cheese that we really hope that today opened up some new ideas for people.
I meant to ask you earlier about Victory Cheese Box.
Yeah, so we actually, so we were doing a little bit more research because we talked about it yesterday and stuff. And so we are partnered with a local cheese blogger, Cheese Sex Death, and a regional distributor in the Chicago area that is using our I believe it was a 2-year cheddar in a victory box that the money's going to the National Black Farmers Association. Yeah. So that is the one that we're participating in, which is a little bit different than the Victory Cheese Box website, which I think is just going to the National Farming Association in general, or local farmers.
I think it's national.
Yeah. But yeah, so ours is just, I think, going to be local in the Chicago area. So definitely check out that blog. I know she has her own website and stuff, but it should be featured on there. But I think that anyone that's looking to try some really unique stuff, definitely go to the Victory Cheese Box website and look at all of the different companies that are offering them. Like I know Uplands, as Michael mentioned, is doing one, and I looked at their website yesterday and it has hooks in it. I mean, it has a really nice selection of cheeses, and you know, Wisconsin makes so many amazing cheeses. And I know coming, you know, people from out of state, you know, people think, oh, Wisconsin cheese, they think just cheddar, but there are just so many wonderful products. Like even outside of Carr Valley, we make 100 products, but there's so many, like in our range, there's a ton of variety, but just in Wisconsin in general, there's so much variety, and no cheddar, no cheese is the same. So definitely check out that website and see what other companies. I know Homogenation, which is a cheese shop in Madison, they're doing a victory box. But it's really a great way to try everything that's going on. There's so many wonderful suppliers, and it's all supporting local milk, which is obviously one of the most important things any time of year, especially this time, you know, with the pandemic. So definitely check that out. Yeah.
The Victory cheese boxes are doing really well, helping out a lot of the independent cheesemakers, a lot of the guys that are out there that aren't in the main stores. You know, you see a lot of cheeses every day in the grocery store, and that they have great distribution. These Victory boxes are able to give you cheeses that you may have never even heard of or been able to try. A good example was the other day with Alan and Barbara Gustoff with Five Spoke Creamery. A lot of people are not familiar with them, and it's a small creamery that does all raw milk cheeses and traditional style. Very wonderful. And now with Victory Cheese, you're able to go out and try some cheeses that you may not have an opportunity. And for you guys as well, to be able to spread some of the unique cheeses that Sid does. I think Victory cheeses, the Victory cheese boxes are going to be a really great way of helping out the individual cheese makers, the farmers, and to be able to promote cheeses that people, you know, just can't get a hold of in their regular retail outlets. So I'm very happy that you're participating.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think just looking at the website a little bit more yesterday, I think I'm going to have to purchase some myself because, you know, again, yeah, depending on the distribution, you know, it's tough to get some of those really awesome cheeses that kind of are in the background a little bit that should be brought forward. So I'm excited about it. It's cool. Thanks for listening, and thanks for having us. Like we have said a million times before this, we love, you know, featuring so many of our cheeses, but the blues are so wonderful. So we're really happy that that's what you chose, and that we got to really talk a little bit more in depth about them today. So it's really, really great, and we're excited. So anyone that has questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to answer anything, or if you have questions about our website, we can help you there too. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again, and I really appreciate it. And I love my little cheese board, and I'm going to go and enjoy this for the rest of the evening. So thank you so much. Be careful and take care of yourselves.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
definitely.
Right.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers. I want to take a moment and thank the dairy farmers of Wisconsin for their support. Without them, this would not be possible. So we really appreciate that they're supporting these programs. Take care, enjoy great cheese, and wash your hands.